Well, we're excited about tonight, Pastor Malcolm. We are super excited to have you back with us again this week. We were so blessed last week. I
Thank you.
know that everyone that was a part of that, and if you weren't a part of it, you need to get the message that was spoken last week. We were tremendously blessed by the practicality of the word that you gave us concerning God's financial plan. Pastor Toy and I've been teaching for the whole month on God's financial plan on Sunday, and we're going to go through the month of October as well. And we wanted our Bible study nights to be very practical and to give people some information that they would need to help them prepared for what we believe God has already prepared them for. And that is his financial plan where everyone will prosper. That is the will of God. We believe that is the will of God for us to prosper, but we have to position ourselves to handle what God or steward what God has made available to all of us. And you have literally brought that home last week, and we're excited about this week as well.
Yeah, we've had people that have already given us testimonies how you've already helped them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're so excited about bringing you back. You've been such a blessing to us personally, to our sons in the ministry, daughters in the ministry, and now to the churches. So we don't want to take up this time. We want you to use this time wisely so that we can benefit from the wisdom that you have. So we love you. We appreciate you.
Yes.
And we just want to get out your way and allow you to do what you do. And once again, we thank you so much, Pastor.
All right, church. Welcome, Pastor Malcolm Lewis.
Well, thank you all for the invite back. Means we must have said something last time that may have registered and been of value. So that's kind of, the lane we try to move in, and time we deal with the people of God, especially on finances. We want it to be something that will be practical. I like this setup as far as the goal here is just to be practical, because sometimes in these faith-based community, the church and the house of worship, sometimes we're so spiritual we miss out on the practicality of God. I have a lot of information to share today. We have a short time. I do want to appreciate our pastors for bringing me on today. I think I've watched you all's ministry for a while, and I know that you all do everything in excellence. You all are a great asset just to the kingdom. I know you all love your people just from previous conversations, and I don't know how better you can love people than to give them relevant information that's going to be life-changing for their particular life. You all know who I am, Malcolm Lewis. I function as a pastor of a church, but God has called me and given me a specific grace to deal in the financial realm, not just in the church environment, but outside the church. And so I prayed about exactly what to bring before you today. And so this is something unique. Although some of the information may sound, some of you all may know some information, but my theme tonight today is to compact this and bring it in a way where it will complete what you all are trying to do with me. So I'm just going to jump right in. Last time we talked, and I think that was the first session, we talked about budgeting and things of that nature. And I don't like the word budget, because sometimes when I mention to clients, business clients and personal clients, and I say the word budget, they kind of cringe sometimes because they think it's a restrictive term. I mean, man, I can't do this. So you'll hear me a lot of times talk about cash flow instead of budget, because cash flow is really what it is. How much cash flow you have coming in, how much cash flow you got going out. So the first thing I'm going to do, I spent a little time on last week talking about expenses. Today, I want to talk about income. I want to talk about income. I think this is very important because things are moving very rapid. What you've seen before the pandemic, if you took a picture of the environment, the financial environment before the pandemic, you'll never see that environment again. Everything is changing very rapidly. And so we have to be in position. As Pastor Slim said, we have to be in position to receive what God wants to do with the kingdom. I do believe that when the world is going down, the kingdom is going up. God has a plan for our finances. It's not my plan. It's not the White House plan, but he has a specific plan for our finances. And sometimes we get real good at talking about tithes and offerings, and that's the first place we need to come. But more than that, what does God want me to do with remaining parts of the income, and how should we be doing that? So the first thing I want to talk about quickly, I know we don't have much time, but I want to talk about income. I want to talk about cash flow. Okay, I want to talk about bringing additional income in. If you have a cash flow issue, which means your budget is out of whack, you do two things again. Number one, either you're going to bring down your expenses, you're going to streamline them, you're going to get rid of them some altogether, or either you're going to bring in more income, or you're going to need a combination of the two. So there's three types of income I want to talk about quickly. I got a lot of material to cover, so I want to get to these three things quickly. There's three types of income. Number one, there's active income. Then there's passive income, and then there's portfolio income. I think that every household needs, a healthy household has all three types coming in. Active income, which means that's if you're before retirement. Active income means that I trade my time for income. For those who are working, those who are in business, you are giving up your time, and in return for the time that you're giving up, in return for the gifts and the talents that you're giving up, your abilities, you're getting some type of income. So number one, you need active income. God is a prosperous God. Just like there were many rivers flowing through the Garden of Eden, you need multiple streams of income coming into your household. That means if one income stream dries up, I can tap into number two, number three, number four, whatever the situation is. You need active income. Okay, so we need to focus on active income. Number two, passive income. That is income that is coming in whether you work for it or not. You're not even working for it. You're not even showing up for it, but it's coming in. It's things such as if you got real estate, you got rental properties, that income, you're not working for the income, but because you have income producing assets such as real estate, things of that nature. Income is coming in. You may be part owner in a different corporation or a different partnership business, and you may get a K1. You may get some profit sharing from the company to you. Then that is passive income. So number one, you need active income. Number two, you need passive income. And number three, you need portfolio income. Portfolio income is just that, it's investment income. The only way to seriously make money is money has to make money. There's only two ways to make money. You work to make money, and money is going to make money for you. Okay, so we're talking about investments. We're talking about being in the market, doing different things like that. Some of you in the market, you don't even know you're in the market. You may have a 401k or something like that. You may have a life insurance product. That means you probably got some mutual funds being traded, whether you know it or not. You're actually actively in the market. Portfolio income. But I'm talking about going outside of traditional things such as retirement and 401ks, and you may be invested in something. You may have a managed money account, a brokerage account. I don't want to get too deep in this, but you need three types of income: active, you need passive, and you're going to need portfolio income, especially the first two, active and passive. So these are things that you should pray about. My goal is to give you information because I believe God is never going to bless us more than the capacity that we have to receive it. So this information, hopefully it will give you greater capacity in how you're thinking, how you're praying, how you position your life, opportunities that may present themselves to you. So again, three types of income. Let's talk about savings for a moment. Now we got more income than debt. What are we going to do? The first thing we have to do is we have to establish savings. We have to establish savings. The first thing we think about savings, it should be this. It should be you need an emergency fund. You need an emergency fund. The amount is it just depends on who you ask, but normally it's somewhere between 3 and 6 months. That means if something happens to you today, something happens to you, and you're not able to work, there's something catastrophic happen. I've seen this so much in COVID-19. I had so many clients that just did not fare well, did not have, they had the cars, they had nice clothes, but they didn't have enough money to get them over the hump. You have to have an emergency plan. You have to have an emergency plan. It's the same thing as in the Bible. Bible tells you to store up something because there's a rainy day, there's a day of lack that's coming. You have to have an emergency plan at least minimum 3 months. 3 to 6 months. That means what you do, you take your operating expenses of your household, what it takes to run your household. You multiply that by 3 up to 6 times, and you need to put that into an account. Now we're in a day right now. Let me say this when I'm talking about savings accounts, because a lot of times when you talk about savings accounts, you really need to understand you need to leverage off the environment that we're in. We're in a high interest environment. The Federal Reserve keeps raising the rate. Matter of fact, on yesterday, they said they will not raise it this time, but that's why cars costing a lot, houses costing a lot, because they're increasing the interest rate. Well, another thing that's being increased with the interest rate is the yield that you're getting on your bank accounts. So normally you're getting probably 0.01, 0.02. If you look at your bank statements at the end of the year, if you have $20,000 in there, you might get $30 or $40 of that. Well, with the increase in interest rates, what has happened is banks have come up and some of their accounts, money market accounts, mainly money market accounts, they're paying right now anywhere between 4.25 up to 5% interest. So a lot of clients that I get to, it's not about sometimes doing something new. Sometimes you just have to reposition. You have to reposition something that was, working over here, but it can be working a lot better over here. And sometimes you just pick up the phone, call your bank and say, hey, I'm not satisfied with my interest. What products do you have? This money is sitting in my account. It's been sitting in my account. It's really not doing anything for me. The inflation is going 4 to 5%. That means I'm losing 4 to 5% of my money. That means if you're not making at least 4 to 5% right now, you're actually losing money, whether you know it or not, because whatever that dollar could buy today, it's not going to buy, or yesterday, it's not going to buy the same thing today. So you may think that you have $100 still, but you really probably only have $87 in the next 2 years because of inflation. So you need to at least be making 4 to 5% on your money. And please don't put your money up under the mattress. I understand you need to have some money outside the bank. I get it. I do the same thing. But for the most part, put your money and make sure that money is making some interest. Again, if you got a money in a savings account, do not be satisfied with the 0.1, 0.2, which the traditional savings account is going to give you. You call your bank, you tell them, I want a high yield. It's called a money market account, okay? It's a high yield money market account. That's what you want to ask for. If your bank don't have it, I was working with a client the other day, her credit union didn't have it. I gave her another bank, they had it, and that's what she ran with. She's making over 4.4% in her on interest in her savings account. So you need emergency fund. Also in your savings, you need retirement. If you go back to last week when we're talking about cash flow budget, I gave you a chart and we said at least 20 to 25% of your discretionary income needs to be put into savings. These are the things that need to go in: emergency fund, money that you can get your hand on in the drop of a dime. If something happens, you need to be able to go and put your hand on it quick. Because it is right that most people are just one paycheck away from being homeless. You need to make sure you have ample retirement set aside. Ample retirement set aside. Ample retirement that's set aside. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So just because you're making money, you make sure that you allocate a certain amount of that money, that take home pay, to savings, because that's what's going to move you forward in life. Okay. So that helps you make a decision. When I go and yes, I may have the extra money to buy a brand new car, to upgrade. There's nothing wrong with that. God wants his people to be prosperous. I get it. But you need to have a certain amount of money, 20, 25% at least, allocated to some savings. Emergency fund is part of it. That's your first savings. Retirement, make sure you have ample retirement. Most people right now who just live a modest lifestyle. When you look at healthcare costs, when you look at inflation, when you look at taxation in retirement, the average number just for a modest person who does not have a huge family is $1.5 million that you have to have stored up that will last you for the next 30 years of your life, so you can get a lifetime stream of income coming in. That you don't have to downgrade your lifestyle. So you need to start thinking about retirement now. Talk a little bit more about it in a minute. Business funding, that's the third component of savings. I'm saving money for the emergency fund. I'm saving money for retirement. Also, I'm investing in myself. I think that there is, for majority of people, I think there's a DNA of entrepreneurship in every individual, whether it becomes their main income or not. I think God has gifted his people so well that he has put God as an entrepreneur, that he has positioned. When Jesus came, he took disciples who had their own businesses. They were able to do great things with the kingdom because of their businesses. They were able to be freed up to do things. They were able to sow into certain things differently because they had different businesses, ship making business, carpentry business, things of that nature. So you have to start praying to God. There's sometimes I just run a workshop just on entrepreneurship, just getting in position. In 2001, I was doing accounting with Bell South, who's now AT&T with Bell South. I went to him and I asked him for a raise. I said, listen, I need another raise. I need an initial raise. I just got to the company about a year before that, hadn't had a raise. I upgraded to another household for me and my family. I had my last child. I needed more room, upgraded. I had a higher expense. Went to him and said, listen, I need a raise. How am I doing? I said, you're doing a fabulous job. I said, I'm glad you said that because I do need more money for my family. Well, they said, we'll call you and let you know what we decide. Well, they called me in. They said, we got some news for you. And I'm thinking they're going to give me a raise. Well, come find out, it happened right after 9/11 we lost the funding for our whole project, which means overnight, the whole project, 300 something people lost their job. I was one of them. Now, the grace in that is this. I already had my financial business started for about 5 years before that, but I was doing it very part-time because I was spending all my time going back and forth to work on the highway in Atlanta. And so when I got the call that I wasn't going to have any job, no money coming in from a job, I said, I'm never going to put my financial future into another man's hand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this seed of a business that God has blessed me with, even though I only could do it very part-time right now, and I am going to maximize it. The next 3 months after I did that, I made more money the next 3 months than I made an entire year, a year and a half before that. So you have to understand, just because it's not your main thing, you have to really pray about this and position yourself to be a business owner. Where we're coming in this economy, I want you to understand very seriously that things are changing rapidly. You got things like AI coming. You got immigrants, and I don't hate on any of that, but they're flooding the country right now, and jobs are about to be very few. And so you're gonna have to do something creative. You're gonna have to take the ceiling off of what you're doing, and you're gonna have to be able to maximize it a little differently right now. So that's the last. I don't have anything to say about business because I don't have the time to do that. But in savings, I want you to look at it from 3 perspectives. In summary, number 1, you need an emergency fund. Number 2, you need ample retirement. Number 3, I want you to take some of that savings and you invest in your vision. If you don't have a vision, just don't go and invest in something. You need to hear from God. You need God to speak to you and say, this is what I want you doing. And you start investing something in yourself, saving it up. So when it's time to cut something on, you'll be able to do it. The other thing I want to talk about today is retirement. Let me check my time. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about retirement. Retirement is very important because of the fact it is one of the it's literally one of the black eyes for families right now. There's not enough retirement funds. Okay. Just a few months ago, and this went viral on social media, our largest transportation freight company called Yellow Freight, they filed bankruptcy. And what happened was very unfortunate. All the workers who had a pension with Yellow, they lost their pension overnight. It was very, very, very unfortunate. It was sad that one worker, it went viral, 30-something years with Yellow. Overnight, the pension was lost. So you have to be more creative. You have to take a little bit more control of your retirement. Again, at least minimum 1.5 million needs to be stored up. The number one derailer of retirement, which causes people to go back to work or have to work, is either medical insurance. They got some kind of medical issue. They have to pay medical expenses. And the third thing is taxation. They rob you of your retirement, and then you're looking to see how you're going to move forward. We don't know what's going to happen after 2033 with Social Security. It's already projected. If it's not going anywhere, it's certainly going to be a lesser amount of money. We owe over almost $30 trillion in Social Security liability right now. The money that people are getting in Social Security is not even coming from the United States government, because we're already underwater trillions of dollars. So you have to be very, very intentional and very smart about your retirement. Normally, three things are going to happen in retirement. Number one, you're going to be able to just carry on in retirement. The average female right now is living to about 88 years old. The average male is living to about 86 years old. That means you're going to have almost 30 years of retirement, money that needs to come in retirement. That's going to have to come in every month. And you got to understand inflation. You got to understand taxation, which is the biggest drag on retirement income. And what I normally see from my side is this right here. Either a person has to downsize themselves significantly because they just don't have the money in retirement. So they may have to go and move in with somebody. They may have to do some totally crazy they never thought they would have to do. Or number two, they have to go back to work. They retired at 66, 67. They're going back to work to get medical benefits, to get extra income coming in for another 10, 15 years. That's not God's plan for his people. There's something that I call happy retirement. It means that when I get in retirement, those should be my best years. I gave my years to my children. I gave my years to working. Now I need some freedom. I need to be able to do what I need to do. What most people don't understand is when you go into retirement, normally your expenses go up, because if I'm at work, guess what? I'm not driving anywhere. I'm at work all day. I'm going to work. I'm going home. And I know a lot of people working virtual right now. But when I'm retired, most people are doing things. They're out there moving. They're out there transacting. They're out there visiting. They're out there vacationing. They're out there going to see loved ones they ain't seen. Normally, your expense goes up, but also what goes up is your medical expenses, because as you get older, it costs more to service your body. So please understand, make sure that your retirement, and I can tell you I don't have the time to tell you the horrible stories that I see week after week after week after week about people in retirement. And then people come to me and to hear on the financial advisory side, and they want to talk about what I can do to do something in retirement. It's too late. You're already in retirement now. It's too late to do most of the stuff that you should have done. Now, there is hope. There is some things you still can do. Very few. We don't know how God is going to move, but the best time to do that is in your working years. Retirement, real quick, let me divide it up. You got pensions. That's pretty much gone. A lot of times, that's why people don't put a lot of thought into retirement, because of the fact when their parents or their grandparents were working and they went into retirement, there was income that was just generating every month, but they weren't just using, most of them weren't just living on Social Security. They had pensions. Pensions cost companies too much, because when pensions first came out, just like Social Security, that's why Social Security is bankrupt. It was because people were their average age of their life, it was ending at around 66 years old. That's why Social Security aged like that at 66, because that's when people were actually dying, so they weren't having to pay out as much money. Now people are living well into their 90s, and the money is just not there. So companies cannot afford pensions. If you're a municipality such as a city worker, a railroad worker, yes, you have pension in place. A fireman, or some teachers, police officer, yes, pensions are still in place. But here in Atlanta right now, we got firemen going on another strike because they're messing with the pension. The military no longer has pension. Those new recruits that are going in, they're having what we call a quasi-retirement situation where the military is going to give them a little something in pension, but most of it they're using kind of like as a robust 401k plan. Pensions is one type of retirement. Most of it's gone. Qualified plans, that's things that they may do on your job. 401ks, things of that nature, 403bs, 457 plans. These are qualified plans. They're qualified because IRS say we're going to give you a little tax break up front. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Then you have what I love Roth. I love Roths. Okay, Roths are pretty good. You can contribute up to 6,500 in it. If you're over 50, you can do an additional 1,000 for the year, up to 7,500. I like those because I'm going to segue into something. I like those because when the monies come out of those plans like Roths, what happened is there's no taxes on it. You pay the taxes up front. I would rather pay the taxes on the seed and not the harvest. That's why we like Roths. Now, the thing about Roths is IRS limits your contribution because they know they're not going to get any money on the back end. So you need an exit strategy. It's good to build money up, but when you come out of retirement, how will the IRS engage you with that retirement income? So you need to really start thinking about that. You're living in the lowest tax rate environments right now. We have a marginal tax rate of around 37%. That means the highest tax rate that somebody can pay is 37%. The lowest could be zero, just depends on your income level. Well, in times of war and great inflation and interest rates, we've seen it get all the way up to 94%. I had a chart. I don't have time to show it to you, but I could email it later on. But I have a chart that shows you the years that the tax rate was 94%, 90%, 91%. One thing that we know for sure, taxes is going to go up. It is going to go significantly up. You will never get another president that will ever say that we're going to lower taxes. They may say we're not going to raise it, but they're not going to say we're not going to lower it. Why? Because we're living with a $33 trillion deficit, and the only way the deficit gets paid for is by tax receipts. So IRS is looking for your retirement. And right now, even it's high now, but it's not going, trust me, it's going to be as high that it's going to be in the next 20 or 30 years because of the fact of the situation we have with our deficit, our national deficit. So those are the things I want to talk about. Retirement, you got pensions out there, qualified plans. So let me jump on 401ks again. Let me jump on 403bs and 457 plans. I have no problem with it at all, but I want you to make sure one thing. If you're given to these plans, remember everything that you put into these plans is pre-tax, which means they're not taxing you up front, but when the money comes out, whatever tax rate you're going to be in retirement, and I'm telling you it's going to go up, you are subjecting yourself to a lot of money going into the Internal Revenue Service hand. So just think about it. We're at the lowest tax rate right now we've ever been. Well, it's not the lowest, but it's one of the lowest. If you're at a 30% tax rate and you got $1 million in your 401k, I'm talking about in retirement, 30%, and you had $1 million stored up in 401k, how much do you really have? You don't have $1 million. You have $700,000. And we didn't even talk about inflation on that. So you have to be very careful. My rule of thumb with 401ks, 403bs, 457 plans, those are qualified plans. I was going to give you a little tax hit up front. It's always put up to the matching amount. If they match you 4-5%, take the 4-5% because they're giving you $1 for $1. It makes sense to at least take that. But anything over and beyond that, you have to be very careful, because what you are doing is setting up a pool of money that you're not going to have control over when taxes are going to be due on the money. Most of my retirement clients come in right now, they're asking the question, how do I lessen and we're talking about in a low tax environment right now. We're not talking about what's going to happen later on. Their question is this: can you tell me, Malcolm, can you tell me how in the world can I reduce the taxation on my retirement income? It's killing me right now. Unfortunately, that's a strategy that should have been thought about when you were creating these different plans. We can try to minimize it a little bit, but you're gonna be subjected to a pretty much significant hit. So you don't want to go through life like that. Don't want to say too much else on that because of the fact I'm almost over my time. You want to make sure that you think about some things. Risk management, asset protection. When you're thinking about your budget, you need to understand how you're doing money, okay? Asset protection, which means I have to get my assets protected, just like you would get a house protected. If you would get your cars protected. If I ask you today, what is your number one asset? Most people are going to tell me my house. And I'm going to tell you that's incorrect. Your number one asset is your income potential. Because your house, let's say your house is $1 million. But let's say your income potential is 100,000 in 20 years, you would be at $2 million. It's always your income potential. So you have to protect your income. You have to protect your life. If something happens, I've got a lot of friends, pastor friends. I got a lot of business friends. I got a lot of family members like everybody else has, who unfortunately did not make it through COVID. It was an eye opener for our community. I don't know what the makeup of the congregation is. I'm talking about the African American community. We have never done well in the life insurance arena. Now, we've done well with GoFundMe. We've maxed that out. We know how to do that. You have to get a life insurance. You have to understand the difference. This is not the scope of this meeting, but you have to understand the difference between permanent life insurance, temporary life insurance. You got to understand the difference between mutual insurance companies and how to get paid dividends into your policy so it can grow and you can become part owner with some of these major life insurance companies. You have to understand that. We've got people that died during COVID and they did not have money. They did not have anything for succession of their family, their wives or their husbands and their children. Income has to be replaced, just like your car. If your car goes down, you have a wreck, you got full coverage. Well, your insurance is going to step in and they're going to pay you for your loss and put you back at a place of strength. That's what life insurance does. And it's easy calculation for it. How much do I make a year? Multiply that by 10. Add in, if I haven't paid the mortgage off, add that in there. Because you want to make sure when you leave here that at least for the next 10 years, that it won't be hard, that your income is replaced. And I can go into all kind of stuff. I don't have time for it right now, but you need to make sure. Interesting statistic. Out of 6,850 people that die every day, 3,292 die without any life insurance at all. Another 445 die, 392 die without any life insurance at all, average a day. Another 1,445 die without adequate insurance, which means they have too little. So that means 48% of people who die every day have no life insurance. Another 21% don't have enough life insurance. That is 70%, 69 to 70% of people who do not have sufficient insurance to pay, and your families and families and families are in communities and generations beyond are being impacted. I see it every day. One of the greatest calls I get And it's an unfortunate time that one of somebody we may have put insurance on, and their loved one called and said, "Hey, I had it this morning. I called one of my clients. He was coming in to do an IRA annuity. I was calling to check the time on it. He can't come today. We just buried my brother. But I thank God for you. I thank God for the insurance that was in place. Nothing was missing. Everything was taken care of. Make sure you get life insurance. Protect your life because it will have benefits. Of course, we do all kind of unique things for life insurance. It's a death benefit. That means just it benefits you, somebody in times of death. People are using it right now to store money up for retirement, tax-free, because you can do that with life insurance because the IRS can't tax it. You can do all kind of things with it. Number two, protect your income. We've seen this happen a lot in, especially business owners. We've seen this happen a lot in COVID. People had issues and can never do the things they used to do because their lungs and things are affected. They live past it, but it can't. And you have to have disability in place. Disability insurance. Make sure you have, if you're working a job, you got short-term, you got long-term, you should have most jobs. If you don't, you make sure because, hey, pandemics happen. We've seen it. Hey, in March 2020, we looked up and the world changed. People in hospitals hooked up the machines. Some of these people were never the same again. And they didn't have any disability insurance, which means disability insurance gives you back 60 to 7% of your income year over year and going into the future. Make sure this is not a big one, but also there's long-term care. That means if you can't do 2 daily activities, people with dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. People in COVID needed long-term care because they had to go to a facility, and long-term care insurance is in place. And not for everybody, but it is something to think about. All right, I'm almost finished. I just kind of want to get through these last different things. So let me say this today. God has a plan. I heard Pastor say earlier that and I'm here to tell you today that God has a plan for you. Most people, what they need is a financial plan. You may know a financial advisor or somebody like that who can. One of the biggest game changers for me when I left AT&T, the first thing I did, I went and got me a financial plan. I went and understood I needed a blueprint for my life. I needed a blueprint that I was taking my business full time, and I needed a blueprint to understand how to do this. All the components connected to assets, investments, wealth, retirement, budget, all asset protection. All of these things needed to be in my plan because they need to tell a story that will help you get down the road. Okay, so remember, if you could do it, you could put it off, get a financial plan. Almost finished. Legacy. We're here to leave a legacy. Proverbs 13:22. You already know it. A good man leaves an inheritance. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Now, I love that word good because it didn't say a good pastor. It didn't say a good preacher. It didn't say a good teacher. It didn't say a good urchin. It didn't say a good mother. It didn't say a good father. Did not say a good worker of a job. Not a good business owner. A good man is one way God used to describe a good man. A good man after my heart is a man who makes sure, and man or woman, make sure that they're storing something up because there's a generation that's coming behind them. There's a child. They're storing up real estate. They're storing up life insurance. They're storing up money, pools of money, maybe investment or something. They're making sure that the next generation is far better than them and can continue the same train of thought from generation to generation to generate. The Bible says, I don't care nothing about your preaching, Malcolm. Mama, I don't care nothing about your preaching. I don't care nothing about you being a business owner. That's not what makes you a good man to me. What makes you a good man to me is what you're doing to set your family up. We know there's a spiritual legacy we need to leave, first and foremost. But with that spiritual legacy, we need to be thinking about the next generation. The Black African-American community, we have failed miserably because we didn't have the mindset. We didn't adopt that mindset as other cultures and communities have. So we need to be thinking about not my life, but there's a life to come after me. And I want to make sure when I close my eyes, if God gives me the consciousness to be able to think about a moment to think about my life, I am at peace and rest crossing over because I know my family is going to be well taken care of. In closing, you need a will, you need a trust. I can tell you right now, that's one of the things I'm seeing right now. I understand we got things like LegalZoom and legal plans, and find you an estate attorney. I don't do wills. I don't try to do them. I can speak to them. I know about them. I don't do trust. Speak to them. I can talk about. I use estate attorneys. I've used one for my own family, but you need a will, minimum a will. If you have real estate, if you have a lot of investments, life insurance policies, and things of that nature, have a lot of assets, you're going to also need a trust. You're going to need all of these different things to help navigate some things, because I can tell you, I see a lot from the seat that I sit in. Listen, I hope that this information I gave, I tried to scale everything in the best way I could. I get very passionate about finance because listen, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. It's God has more to say about finance than anything else. I mean, over 2,300 scriptures about finances. He understands that finances is that the main thing, but it's the thing that details that what our heart is. Our treasure is our finances. That what our heart it tells God the type of person we are. You got to do the best thing with the dollar. Listen, I thank God for this opportunity. I'm not sure how our pastors them are going to distribute information if they want to, or whatever the situation is. I'm very well versed. We've been doing this for almost 30 years. I love what I'm doing. If I can assist at all of whatever the situation is, that's on them. But I thank them for the opportunity. Again, I'm Malcolm Lewis. I'm down here in Metro Atlanta trying to do the best I can with what God has given me. But I thank them for loving you, because I can tell you right now, most pastors, I know I'm a pastor myself, most pastors are not doing this. And especially, I'm telling you, and if any time pastors need to really empower the people. That's why I love these angels right here, because they are about empowering the people. They didn't know this, but I've been watching for a little while, because I see how they empower the people. I get empowered before I go and minister. Sometimes I say, my God, I got my spiritual vitamin. Let's go. Let me go and preach a word today. So I thank y'all for allowing me on today with your people. God bless you today. And hopefully I added value to and have met the expectation that you all have asked me to do this.
Absolutely.
It was powerful. Yes. We have been so blessed tonight. I told Pastor Tony, I know I have to go back and listen to this myself. We've tried to get and have everything in order where our finances is concerned, but I know we can come up a notch, especially some of the things that we've heard here today and how important those things are. And that leaving a legacy is just really, really important, that you don't leave your kids debt, but you have things in place that they will be able to, take care of things as you continue to move on. And I'm excited. I know it's been a tremendous blessing, and everybody was tremendously blessed by tonight. Thank you. Again, we are just overwhelmed.
One of the things that, Jesus said about the people of the world, they're more skilled at handling the resources. And we need to develop our skill set. And that's why we thought it was so important having you here to open us up. Because I believe some areas that we're just not open to until we get the information that's out here. And you're so developed and so wise. But the wisdom you have is not just natural wisdom, but you have the wisdom of God. So you're able to help us to navigate life the way God intended. So for that, man, we are just so excited about having you. We're listening to you, but we're having discussions on ourselves. Yeah, we need to think about that. We need to go back and listen to that. I know the people are going to be tremendously blessed. We are, once again, this man has been a tremendous blessing to my wife and I personally. And that's why we invited him on, because we believe that he could help you as well. And so, of course, we would love to bring you back. We might just allow you to take one subject and just run with it. But
we got to get you up here personally.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to bring him in
person.
and sit down and just to be a blessing, because, oh my God, my mind was going down all these avenues of how you can help us and how you have helped us.
Yes.
So we have to do that.
So thank you again for being here with us. We've been tremendously blessed, and now we just turn the service over to our facilitator. Thank you.
All right, God bless you all. Thank y'all for having us on again. Be blessed.